Hey, what's going on? JD here, and today we are racing the LaGuardia Loop Crit. It's in New York City. It is part of the Zwift Crit Racing series, and I'm going to share my race as well as some tips that I think might help you out if you race this course in the future. So let's get down to it. So looking at today's route, the basic lap is 2.8 kilometers in length and 23 meters in elevation. We have a 1.6 kilometer lead in to this 6-lap race. Like most typical Zwift races, you are going to start off probably a little more spicy than you want to. As soon as you get out of the pens, you're going to make this right turn and you're going to go through an arch and you're immediately going to get a power up. And that brings me to my first tip, which is utilize this power up early on, especially if you are struggling hanging on to the group. The thing is with this course is you're doing 6 laps and the lap banner where you get your next power up is only 1.4 kilometers away. A good chunk of this first part is a little bit rolly, so if you are finding yourself kind of falling off the edge, make sure to use that power up. Or you can conversely, if you're doing all right, is just realize that you've got something like, in my case, the draft. Sit in, conserve that power, knowing that you've got a power up coming up at the 1.4 kilometer mark. So I just want to take this moment to let you guys know that we have the store up and running on the YouTube channel. If you go to our channel page and you go and take a look at the tabs, you will see store in the top right-hand corner. You can click there. There is a bunch of Paint Ink gear that you can order directly from the site. That helps us for the season and helps support the channel and the riders involved. So if you decide that you want to get some gear, that is greatly appreciated. We have some vintage painting stuff in there that is super cool right now, but let's get back to the racing. So at the 1 kilometer mark, we hit this little bump in the course, and this is a key portion of the course, and you will come to see it throughout the race. It gets a max gradient of 6.4. It is a short little punchy climb. You saw some people utilizing their draft to get in there, which is a good idea. As you come over the hill, it will dip down and you will see the sprint banner coming up, which will be ultimately your finishing line, as well as the spot in the course where you get your power up each and every lap. Again, it's a good idea to use your power ups knowing that you're going to get them every lap, so don't hold on to them for the finish. You're pretty much going to get awarded one every lap, so make sure to utilize those. Only save one if you've got something like the arrow at the end and you feel you don't want to risk taking a chance to not get it for the finish. But ultimately, whatever watts you can save throughout the entire race will help you out. So first lap is pretty uneventful. You can see New York is a pretty rolly course. You've got some bumps and little inclines, but there's nothing really major throughout it. The group sticks together. They are all sort of working. Some guys will surge forward every once in a while, but it isn't until we come back to that initial climb that things start to happen. So at this point, you will see some riders will actually start pushing, including myself. This is kind of the first big test in the race. You can see some guys surge forward. It is pretty early on. We have this Russian guy on the front who we will take a look at later, but he's kind of pushing and he gets going and he's established a bit of a gap. Now, I could chase this down at this point, but this is lap 1 of 6. I'm not terribly worried about it at this point, but it is something to keep an eye on. Guys will utilize this point as a launching point. As you can see, you push over the top, you get down, and you can get some distance. And you will see this repeatedly throughout the race, that this is a point in which the race can be won or lost, because that downhill, if you are not up with the main group, you can definitely get ahead and you're not pulling them back given the speed. So as we go down this hill, Another racer chases, I just stick to their tail, and we catch back up. So this lap is pretty uneventful. It's all about maintaining your draft, saving as much energy as possible, and just sticking with the group. Again, when we come to this incline, this is when the fireworks start to go off again, and you'll see people starting to push off the front. And as I was racing this, I was thinking about Doom Guy's The Hand, the Glasgow Crit. I do recommend that you go watch that video. He shows a great strategy for racing that, but I thought of that video here. I'm just going to push ahead, kind of catch up and sit in everybody's draft. I don't want to push too fast ahead. I'm not too worried about anybody going off the front, but I just want to keep them in sight. I don't want somebody getting a 5, 6, 7 second lead. At that point, the alarm bells should be going off. Again, we go down the hill. Things get kind of stretched out. I'm just going to find a spot, sit in, not push too hard, but I don't want people to get away. So now it's a matter of pulling people back. But what happens here is a guy goes off the front and he actually starts to establish a fair bit of a gap. At one point here, 5 seconds away. At this point, I'm kind of contemplating whether or not I should chase it down. The issue here is that if I do chase it down, I'm going to burn a couple matches doing so, and all I'm going to do is pull the group with me, and they're going to sit in my draft and save energy, putting me at a disadvantage at the end. So in situations like this, you really do have to make a choice whether or not that is something that you want to do in the race. In this case, I decide I'm just going to kind of sit in for a while longer and see how it goes. We are early in the race. We've still got 3 laps. I don't know if this guy can solo the whole distance. We're just going to let it ride out at this point. So it's time for our favorite little up in this course. We can see the guy out front now in our sights as he hits the corner. And we're going to give a little bit of a push, see if we can drag him back a little bit closer. We can see a couple other guys have the same idea. I don't want anybody to get away at this point. And we see this guy pushing off the front and he connects. You don't want a group of 2 or 3 people to separate because they can definitely work together and stay away at this point. So I'm going to make sure that I creep up there and don't let them get out of sight like people have in the other laps. I'm just going to sit in their draft and kind of get towed along and let them utilize their energy. And as you can see, the group gets a little bit strung out, but generally speaking, there is enough people there that we're just going to sit in. You can see I'm coasting and following those who take the lead here. So the gang is all back together and we just kind of work through the park. Here I am just kind of sitting again in the draft. Not much is happening until we get to a certain juncture and we will see another test here, another little attack as a guy moves through the pack as we come to this sort of downhill portion of the course. He kind of puts in a good effort on the downhill as we come around, getting close to where the up is. And he establishes a couple second kind of lead. We see a little bit of reaction from a couple guys as we go across the cobbles here, but the group pretty much stays together. Now, this move, I would say, isn't probably the best. It's hard to get away on the downs. It's easier for the group to chase. The speed gets picked up a little bit and probably doesn't get the gap that he wants. And you can see he's using a good chunk of power. He's at 4.4 watts per kilogram. As he sort of hits into the up, he starts pushing and those watts stay consistent. So this is a legit attempt to get away. There he is at 5.2. The problem is that we can all see that and we're still carrying momentum in. So we actually start pushing a little bit early. You can see I do about 7 watts a kilogram there. It does cause me to use a little bit more energy than I like, but I've got another chaser with me and I'm just going to utilize his draft. We have a couple guys fall off the end. So there's like 3 of us in this little group here, and we're going to push forward and push this guy back. And you can see others are starting to join now. And that gap that he worked so hard for gets cut really, really quick. Again, very difficult to get away on the downhill. It's just you're going to get pulled back. I would have, if it was me, I would have probably went in slow with the group and really pushed, and then pushed over the top and hopefully establish a greater distance. But this guy gets pulled back really, really quick. So everybody kind of sticks together. We're utilizing the draft as best as possible, saving the energy. We are getting later into the race, and as we come towards the cobbles, we see another attack as he moves off the front. I'm definitely very aware of this one. Again, I don't think I'm terribly worried about it at this juncture. Had this been the last lap, I would absolutely stick to that guy's wheel, because there isn't going to necessarily be the opportunity to claw things back, especially a gap that he established pretty quick coming up to this ramp, if there isn't that much distance left. Because as we know, as we crest that, we are not going to be able to claw him back very quick. We can see that he establishes about a 5-second gap pretty quick. The group here is starting to move forward a bit. Some of the people that are probably going to be there at the end for the sprint are definitely looking to go, myself included. I just kind of give a little push over the top, hoping some guys will sort of latch on and slingshot past me, and here they come. So I can just basically, again, attach their wheel, do as little work as possible, and get ready for this final lap. Now, there is a concerted effort by the group to chase this guy down. At one point, he gets almost 8 seconds ahead, but the vast majority of this first part is downhill, so we managed to catch up fairly quick. We can see on this little up, he starts pushing a little bit again, and I give a little push to just kind of make sure that I am attached. I don't know how tired these guys are, but I don't want this guy to get away. And as I come up to him, I actually push past him. Reason being is that he's been out there, he's been working, he's been trying to stay away, and I kind of want to put just a little bit of hurt, so I'm willing to give a little bit more effort, use a little bit of power that I've been saving just to make sure the damage is done and that I don't have to worry about this guy again. The rest of the group bunches up and we get in our nice little blob here as we move towards the finish. So as we get towards the end, I am watching for that attack that we have seen on several other laps as we approach the bridge. And sure enough, as we hit there, that's exactly what happens. So knowing that he is going to push and that he can establish a gap pretty quick, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to launch and try to attach right to his wheel. If you have the draft, this is exactly where to use it. You got to make sure you're there, because if other people fail to react, they're going to get left behind. So you have to make sure. We can see that little jiggle there. He probably has steering. I'm just going to sit there, and as we hit, I know that I have to push. As we hit the climb, I'm going to push over the top and continue to push as we go. This is a long at LaGuardia attack. We are going to push, continue to push over the top, and as we hit the downhill, we're going to keep on that power. We're hitting the sprint. Again, motivation, push, push, push. You can see everybody behind is in the reds. They've probably had to push even that hard. Don't do what I did here and ease up a little bit, because I almost got caught at the line because I thought it was over. And I actually had to wait a second to see if we came across first, which we did. So don't do what I did. Push all the way through the finish. But that is how you go long at LaGuardia. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you use this strategy, please do let me know in the comments below. Let me know your results. Send me some links to your video, show me use this strategy, and I will definitely check them out on your channel. Again, thanks guys. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notifications, and until next time, see ya.